And now, a man who needs no introduction and without whom the Pension Rights Center would not exist, and who has some fabulous books which he is donating to the center and will autograph on your way out. It's a terrific novel, sort of a novel, called Only the Super Rich Can Save Us. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Ralph Nader.
Who thought up that song? Do I look punch drunk? Thank you very much, Karen. The fact this is a motley audience is a real tribute to Karen Ferguson and Karen Friedman and all the others who number only 15 full-time staff at the Pension Rights Center. I can't remember the last time I was sandwiched in between MetLife and Prudential Financial. Karen Ferguson and Karen Friedman, I've never seen two advocates extend each other the way they do. I haven't seen anything like that since the emergence of the yin and the yang, actually. One is a competent introvert, and the other is a competent extrovert. And I think it's a tribute to both of them that they could stand each other for so long. I want to bring you back to the beginning of this effort because I haven't seen it ever replicated before. But starting in 1970, 71, 72, we rented a floor in a building kitty corner from the Washington Post. And in the first year, we had about a dozen just out of law school graduates. And we had a circle when they first came, and they all sat in the chair. Remember that? And I had a whole number of projects. And I wasn't about to assign them in a unilateral way, so I just threw out the ideas, one after the other. And one of them was pensions. But the replication was absolutely staggering and continues to this day. Karen took hold of pensions 40 years later. It's still here, Pension Rights Center. Bob McIntyre picked tax, Citizens for Tax Justice, still here. One of the most competent sources for Capitol Hill as well as the rest of the country on tax policies. Clarence Ditlow, he picked auto safety, Center for Auto Safety. He's made sure that a lot of your cars have been recalled for defect correction, among other things. Sid Wolf, health, he came out of NIH and never stopped, and when he started with me the health research group, he told a reporter, this is my last job, and he's still at it as director, and he's caused a recall of a lot of your dangerous prescriptions, among other things. Then there's Alan Morrison, and he was our chief litigator for many years in the Public Citizen Litigation Group, which still continues with almost a dozen lawyers and winning many, many cases. And then there's Donald Ross, who's here. Most of these people are here tonight. And he joined me, and we went around the country, and he's indefatigable to set up the public interest research groups, which are still here, 20 or more of them, New York to California, and Oregon to Florida. So you see, how do you replicate something like that? We hear a lot about, well, you remember when young Hewlett and young Packard were in a garage and they tinkered a bit and then they built this great, huge company, Hewlett Packard. But we don't really hear much about how just an idea with a vision, with someone starting out in life, wanting to bring his or her conscience to work and building this type of effort. There's no National Academy Awards for civic leaders. Someone once said, we honor those who we reward materially, but we should honor those who lift up the standards of justice for all of us. And any time you meet a youngster who says, well, we just can't change anything, it's pretty hopeless in this country, power is too concentrated, just think of this. Think of all the forces of apathy and vested interest who opposed what the Pension Rights Center wanted to do. And this little center, armed with super competent analysis and documentation and a desire to network wherever networking is possible for a common goal, look what they did against these awesomely powerful forces. And I think if we can convey that, we will destroy the main defender of concentrated power, which is the internalization of millions of people who believe they have no power and that they can never prevail. It's that internalization, and it's built in with our educational system as we grow up, that you can't fight City Hall and you can't take on Exxon. So with that, we want to emphasize what you have seen emphasized this evening, is that this whole success is a product of hundreds and thousands of people with varying degrees of input. And the people who received the awards tonight and who are going to receive these awards, they are really sturdy evergreens. I've never seen people volunteer for so long and stay with it for so long, growing by their own standards and lifting up other people by their own excited vision for fair play and honesty. And we live in a time when, once again, we have to develop the rationalization for retirement security, for Social Security. Once again, we have to educate the younger generation, yes, that Social Security will be around when they get to that age. Once again, we have to take on an increasing number of people in Congress who are inebriated with their own ideology for pitiless abstractions. And there's never been a higher concentration of these people since I've come to Washington. So every time a hill is climbed, it seems to be another hill is around the corner. But with this great turnout this evening, and it's very impressive in its diversity of priorities and concerns and sensitivities, I think it can be turned around. After all, when people are free at last from the restrictions of their regular job in retirement, this is the great human resource of our country that's severely underutilized. The idea of people with experience, with judgment, with a different perspective on life, in part because of their age, being able to make things happen and not just play shuffleboard in Sun City, Arizona, is something we have always wanted to foster. And Karen, sometimes I think it's like a requirement to get a job here, is to be named Karen, and all the others have developed a perpetuation of this. George Miller, I don't know, is he still here? Oh, he's the only, there's only 2 rebuttals to my desire for 12-year term limitations in the House. 3, and one of them is George Miller. Because after 12 years, they either wear out or sell out. So one or the other. George has his fire in him, along with Henry Waxman and Ed Markey. And I salute you, George, for doing it. And the great work he did on student loans, too, just recently. So he spans the generations, as they say. And he exemplifies that the only true aging is the erosion of one's ideals. That's a very, very nice standard to adhere to when all your hair is white. The erosion of one's ideals. And so I think that's what the center event is trying to advance with more and more volunteers and more people around the country. Now we have a marvelous group of awardees today, And it gives me great pleasure to recognize some of these advocates. But it's named in honor of Helen Quirini, who passed away last year at age 90. She was a quintessential advocate whose life was dedicated to social justice causes, not just this cause, but many others, many splendored human being. She was a retired General Electric factory worker. We all know General Electric. They made billions of dollars in profits last year, and each one of you paid more federal income tax than General Electric, which even got a huge refund. She was a retired GE factory worker who led picket lines, submitted proxy resolutions, think of the diversity, and spoke at shareholder meetings, ultimately convincing GE to give its pensioners multiple cost of living adjustments they needed and deserved. She was an indefatigable force, an inspiration to all who knew her, really a force of nature. You meet these people around the country, you wonder how they came to be, who they are. They just have an inner drive for justice, what Daniel Webster, when he was a senator, called the great work of man on earth. And so can the four awardees come up? Ewa Bielski, Paul Edwards, Bill Jones, and Janice Winston, please. Ever since I talk with Karen from time to time, these names always come up. It's just, should be the Sturdy Evergreen, right, award. Ewa Bielski was the first chair of the Citizens Commission on Pension Policy, which was created at my suggestion at a center conference in 1978. I didn't have anything else to say, and it worked. And she successfully watchdogged the President's Commission on Pension Policy. It was really like a shadow overseer. And so, do you want to do them all at once? Yeah. Oh, okay. The extrovert. Then there's Paul Edwards, chair of the Coalition for Retirement Security, which brought together workers and retirees with a wide range of pension justice causes to lobby and successfully advocate for change. You know, these are very complex subjects to advocate. I mean, we all should be aware of that, because just look at the size of the ERISA law, for example. So you just can't go up there and say, do the right thing. You have to have a lot of knowledge and arguments and resiliency. Our next awardee is Bill Jones, founder, president, and CEO of the Association of Beltel Retirees Association and ProtectSeniors.org, organizations that vigorously advocate for cost of living adjustments and to preserve retiree health benefits for retirees around the country. And our final one is the youngest grandmother I have seen for a number of years. I didn't think she was a day over 30 until she introduced her grown-up granddaughter, Janice Winston, who led the successful effort to convince Verizon to reverse the decision to convert its traditional pension plan to a cash balance plan and help change the law to stop unfair pension cutbacks. And so, as they say in the comic books in 1940, Shazam!